Welcome to The Solution, a real estate podcast where, Jeff, it's time that we put the consumer first in real estate.
Welcome to The Solution, a real estate podcast hosted by Jeff Sibbach and Phil Sexton.
So this is why we've started the podcast, so that we can interview agents, we can talk to agents, we can talk to top producers, and figure out how they're going about putting the consumer first in their business, what they're doing to differentiate themselves. And today is a very special day.
Well, you mean because it's episode 90 of The Solution?
Episode 90, man, time flies when you're having fun. Jeff Sibbach, my co-host, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I am super excited to have our guest today because he is, I guess, easy to exude in his leadership in the industry.
I have no idea what that means, but what I do know is that his name is Jason Mitchell. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome
I mean,
to the
know
show.
when it takes about 5 months to get somebody to come on, it's a pretty important guest.
Now, even though in our world, being the Phoenix, Arizona real estate market, everybody knows his name, I just have a feeling that there's people out there that might not know that he and his group, the Jason Mitchell Group, last year closed $292 million worth of residential real estate. Is that biggest guest yet? It's second. Close.
Rob Ellerman out of Kansas City. Though he's got new home accounts, similar to the you have a different level of partnerships that I can't wait to talk about it. But he $330 million, pretty.
It's a lot of
pretty
business.
good.
It's a lot of business. Jason's team, your group, you did 776-ish transactions last year. The Phoenix Business Journal named you the #1 real estate team in the Phoenix metropolitan marketplace, right?
Last year.
And if I'm not mistaken, the same Phoenix Business Journal named Jeff Sibbach the #1 residential real estate agent.
Right, only because they wouldn't let Jason have two categories.
So I'm sitting here with two #1 real estate agents according to the Phoenix Business Journal. This is wonderful.
Hey-o!
All right. Wow. And my name's Phil. I'm also here in the room. All right, so Jason, you've been in the business 16 years. We know that you've got relationships, and that's a big secret of your, or not secret, but method of your success. And so we're going to get into asking you questions about that. But our viewers might be wondering, or our listeners might be wondering, they recognize your voice a little bit because they've seen, I don't know, the TV show Selling Scottsdale.
Yeah, that was a while back, but yeah.
Maybe they watched HGTV, A Sale of Two Cities.
Yep, that was a fun one.
Also featured on those, and I think Jeff Sibbach named you the best-looking male agent at my home group.
That's it. At my home group. Yeah. Not at the XP for sure. At my home group. I may be up there at my home group.
All right.
I'm wilting, so I'm losing my luster, but
You're doing just fine. You're doing just fine.
I'm going to self-proclaim that was the best intro I've ever given anybody. So anyway, let's get into real estate talk. And Jeff Sibbach.
Okay, so we're going to go a little bit different way because I know that, so I wrote a blog on agenttruth.com talking about what I'm calling the Shift 2.0, and it is, Jason's put an exclamation point on number 4, and that's talking about how relationships are losing to partnerships. So in the blog that I wrote, I was talking about how relationships, meaning companies, as larger and larger companies start to dominate the marketplace, where it used to be real estate brokerages did. But now we have Zillow, we have Realtor.com, Yahoo, we have HomeLight, and then we have Rocket Mortgage, and we have Open Door, and we have OfferPad. As these companies have come in, those agents that have worked diligently to develop partnerships with them are getting the deals, getting a first crack at those deals. And now, unfortunately, if you're relying on your relationship and not worried about upping your game, now you're competing against Jason Mitchell, #1 760 deals a year agent, competing against you doing 5 deals or 8 deals and hoping that Aunt Marge is going to go with you versus him. And as we're making that comparison, so I think we should talk to him a little bit about, where did you have the vision? Now you're on top of the mountain with it, but tell us a little bit how
About the climb.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had an opportunity, we have a lot of great partnerships, and now.
How many?
On a large scale, we probably have 8 to 10 powerhouse relationships. Our biggest client is Quicken Loans, as everyone knows, and Rocket Homes, and I've been with them for a decade. And they were my first partnership, and they've become my biggest partnership. And I also have other great partnerships as well, but that happens to be our biggest client. And they are.
Meaning you do the most amount of deals from them is the defining biggest, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we do a lot. We'll do over 500 deals this year with them alone. Last year we did
Awesome.
350, so a lot.
Yeah.
And so we have a marriage with them, and it's been phenomenal. But when I first had the opportunity to work with them, I was a solo agent, and I would get 1 or 2 leads a month, and I'd close 1 deal, then 2 deals. And then as I started to build more trust with them, they started trusting me with a little bit more business, so I hired a buyer's agent, and then I built the tech. Because to me, I saw an opportunity to where the only way I could harness agents out there and give them value was to be able to provide the ability to receive a high quality lead instantaneously to their phone, start the communication process, start prospecting, create a transactional experience, create a closing experience, and it took years. I mean, it took me over 3 years to build, and we still build it, right? Like
Always a work in progress.
Correct.
Yeah.
When you say build the tech, describe what do you mean by that?
Okay,
What's the tech?
So our proprietary system is called CAMP. That's what we call it, and I built it on the Infusionsoft platform. And if you're familiar, like with any software, with anything that you start, you basically start from scratch and you got to build it all out. Which was really actually one of the coolest things that I've done, because I built our entire system, and I built it. The girl I was building it with at Infusionsoft at the time, I ended up hiring her 4 years ago, and she now works for us. So she and I had built our entire system. So when I have to bring on a new partnership, relationship, a new funnel, a new campaign, she's done it so many times now.
Sure.
Now we're in multiple states, so we have to do multiple applications for what we do, but we got a sandbox where we just go in, we plug away, and
does that mean that your partners actually enter the opportunity into that tech campaign, or do they send it to you however they want to, and then you enter it?
It depends. Like some of it we parse and we instantly go and round robin.
I mean, they shoot you an email and then you suck the data out of it?
Yep.
Okay.
Some of them, and then some of them are manual, where we'll get a lead in, and then we have a communications team, so we have 3 people there. We call it our client experience team. One of them is basically the air traffic controller. So her job is to make sure that as we're getting in leads, that they're getting put into the right campaigns, the right lead sources, following up, making sure agents are identifying those. And then we have another guy, his name's Ryan. He follows up the day after, make sure that they're sitting in the right stage, and basically saying, did you touch base with your agent? Have you had an opportunity? And then he runs from there. But
So
they're all
did you touch
different.
base with your agent? So he is a corporate employee, for lack of a better phrase, that is then reaching out to the lead to make sure that your independent contractor is doing what they should be doing.
That's right.
I love that touch point.
Yeah.
From the consumer standpoint, I love that.
We do it from a consumer standpoint, so the consumer feels taken care of, like, hey, I have more than my agent looking out for me. But we also do it because we want to make sure, because you guys know this, it's very difficult sometimes for agents to actually follow rules and like move stages.
Wait a minute. Hold on. We're all agents here in the room. Wait,
No.
None of us are rule followers.
No. What he's speaking to is what is why the growth of the team has emerged, is that agents are generalists at nature, and they're used to, doing a little bit of everything, and kind of hard time staying focused, right? Because you're really in charge of too many tasks as an agent, and that, he's saying that he's utilized a team much like we have, and that's getting someone to make sure each point is covered, to check every box along the way to make sure the client is satisfied.
That's right, because if you get a lead sent to your phone, when you get a lead it says, hey, you have a lead, check your inbox. We make them check their inbox because there's more detail, right? So they have to go, and then they see the lead source, they see...
Is there a little rocket on the text message?
Tomorrow there will be.
Yeah. So when it'll tell them the lead source that sent us the file, and then from there they can, they'll call and reach out and do whatever they need to do. However, that doesn't necessarily mean they've gone into our CRM to move the stage to either made contact or attempted contact. So we want to make sure that our in-house team is doing that, because once you start moving milestones, different messages get sent to the client, right? And so we're trying to create that experience for the client, but also holding ourselves accountable to ensuring that people are sitting in the right stages where they need to.
Wow.
I love that.
I mean, internally we used Infusionsoft for about 1.5 years. It's such a complex thing, but I know that I've heard you speak on other podcasts saying that that is the key to CRM to your success.
No question. I mean, listen, we'll do, right now, this year, we have 300, I think it's 342 new files this year already in 2019. And I have 2 processors, I have an office manager, and I have an ops director. And that's it, because the tech, we have 281 files in escrow right now for 107 million, right now, today. I just looked at it. I look at it like 100 times a day, probably like you do. But my point is, because of the tech, because it's constantly telling you when an agent does something and they move to a milestone,
right,
whoever needs to touch the file can touch the file. So they get a task and they get a trigger and they know to go in. And once they're in the file, they have check boxes that they have to check off. So we've just kind of become an assembly line, and that's the thing is, our staff does the same thing every time, every day, right? So they're just accustomed to it. They can do it in their sleep. So we can really just continue to grow because everyone, the system, the tech, no matter who we put in there, it will alert who needs to be alerted at the appropriate time.
Right. So I mean, this brings up my second question because it sounds like perfect, right? But I know that in dealing with agents, because this is just speaking to some of the larger teams that we have out there listening, or just in anyone sending leads to agents, our challenge in 2017 and 18, it wasn't a challenge, it was just a booming market and everything was great, skippy, is that all of a sudden you get used to just, here's another deal, and it almost becomes paralyzing to them.
Can be.
We saw it happen because now as you start to see the shift, or we saw the shift in the market, I'm wondering if you do, but only due to your partnership, maybe you're not seeing the shift as much, and that's where the consumer is kind of, I don't know if it's pushing away, but just almost flat out lying to us, being like, I don't need you, I'm good, until, oh no, I want you now at the property at 3 o'clock, or I'm not gonna work with you.
So there's 2 sides to where I see this. Where this comes into play with relationships and partnerships, the main thing that comes from it is quality. We get quality leads. We get quality consumers that we can work with. The higher top of the funnel you go, the less quality that lead becomes. And so we do buy top of funnel leads still.
Sure.
We play that game. We scrub them out and then we'll distribute. We never give our agents something that hasn't been scrubbed. But because of the partnerships, our average, if you take an aggregate of every lead that we ingest, we close 17% of those leads.
Wow.
Out of everybody. Now, companies are...
Yeah. I mean, that's like 17%. I'm going to go with roughly about 4 times the average agent. I mean,
Yeah, but so here's the deal.
If you're not convinced that you should have better partnerships,
that's it.
Repeat it.
Yeah. No, but that's it. So like when you have partners that do a lot of that heavy lifting for you, but rely you specifically for boots on the ground to close and be trusted.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's amazing how that ratio goes up, and then in turn, what that creates is a very low attrition rate, because
for agents,
because our arbitrage is 3.5 to 1. So for every agent, now some of them are higher, and some of them are a little bit lower. But what I mean by that is you will close an average of 3.5 of our team leads with your 1 self-gen, and I have some hitters on my team. And so when you can exchange that kind of return, then people seem to follow the way that you want them to do things, right?
Yeah.
And then in exchange for that, as they grow their book of business, and as I have agents with me for years and years and years. So now they have 200, 300 team leads that have closed. All the business that comes from that is all self-gen business, which they get a higher split on.
Right.
Yeah.
But
We're
all
on the same
that,
model,
when you bring all that back to why is this? Because of quality. Because we have quality, and quality shears up so many things on a team. As long as you have the ability to track everything, manage everything, quality cures a lot of problems. And so that's why, again, going back to our niche now is we say, look, there's no one that can give you the visibility, the tech, the brand, the support, and the visibility of a trusted partner like we can, because we've mastered that referral process of being boots on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And so that's my job now. That's why I'm traveling the country like crazy, just meeting new partnerships, creating new relationships so we can grow in different markets too. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and I know that you want to continue down the relationship thing, but
No, we're done
real
with that.
estate
We're going to
thing.
move on to some other things, Jen.
What I'm curious on is when you're the visionary, right? Are you the visionary in your business?
Definitely.
Absolutely. So when you look at camp, there's things that you're like, I wish it did this.
Always.
What's the next, like, what's the big one where, with me right now, I wish our system would do this or that.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Well, I'm
from
always
your
coming up
perspective.
with like, and you guys do the same thing, I'm sure, like you'll wake up at 2 a.m. and you'll have ideas, right? And
Yeah.
Right? So there's a lot.
It's
There's
usually 3:30 for me, but
which is even worse,
I got enough wine in me at 2 o'clock, I'm still asleep.
My 8-month-old makes it until 3:30.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, we're always, look, whether or not we're adding partnerships, whether or not you think of like one of the things that we're doing right now, and the implementation becomes a little bit slower because we have multiple states that we have to ingest in all these different applications within.
I'm just amazed that you can do it with so few people.
Implementation always becomes slower the bigger you get.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's just the
But
reality
the nice
of
thing
business.
is like, so right now we're working on awareness stuff. And so well, there's a lot of stuff we're working on, but one of the things we're doing right now is awareness. So when an agent gets a lead now, we have different incentive programs, we have different things. So we're creating visibility within when the lead gets distributed, who the lead source is, what the incentive is tied to. A lot of our partners are offering their own incentives. So now it's every lead that comes in, we're making sure that our agents have full awareness on exactly what's going on with that specific lead source. And then from there, it's also building out, like, if I have to, like with our CET team, our client experience team, we have to build out certain internal forms because we use automation. So what Sally does is different than what Brian does. And when they hang up the phone, different things trigger when you end that call, right? Like, great speaking with you, sorry I didn't speak with you. But still outlining the foreshadowing the rest of the process. Right? So we're constantly building out different messages based on the result of a conversation that they don't have to send an email. You just click a button and it takes care of it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just getting better. And
That was one of the cool things that I liked about Infusionsoft and what you've put on top of it is their platform is so customizable where some systems that you use, you can only communicate outbound from the person that's assigned to them. Where Infusionsoft, it's infinite. You can communicate outbound from you, even if you're not the one that was assigned to that file. And that was one of the pieces that I really liked about it.
You know, looking back, quite frankly, I mean, we're in we can't go backwards now.
Yeah.
We're there now.
Yeah.
But I should have did it on Salesforce. I really should have. Because there's so many different integrations, APIs. And as you know, we have Shebang, right? So our team should...
Well, I thought Camp was Shebang.
No, because ours is so custom. Shebang you can build it and customize it.
Got it.
But Shebang created from our Mitchell Group core, right? From our Camp core.
Okay, I was...
founded Shebang. And that's why, in 2 weeks when we have...
Well, be honestly, I mean, if you're looking to sell a CRM, you can't build it for Jason Mitchell doing 500, 700, 1,000 deals, 1,200 deals, right? Or you're going to sell one a year. Right?
It's you and Rob.
You and Rob Ellerman on Kansas City. You have to build it for people that are going to do 10 deals, 15 deals, 20 deals, 30 deals, because that's the core of...
What we did is we took...
smart.
And Shebang now is on Salesforce. That's our big announcement in a couple of weeks. So we moved Shebang from Infusionsoft to Salesforce.
Oh, wow.
And we did that because you are limited within the Infusionsoft platform for customization, being able to tweak your emails with the licensing. There's also API limitations. Like Salesforce, it's unlimited what you can do. Reporting. So in Shebang 2.0 now on Salesforce, no matter what leads come in, we can identify the source and we can pull a report to tell you all your conversion ratios, how much money you're spending, all within Shebang now. And so it's really powerful what we're building with Shebang. And so, and because we had it, and that's the problem that I face now that what we've built in terms of our camp is such a monster that to put it on Salesforce would take, not only would it take a long time, it would cost a significant amount of capital.
Well, and if you don't need to license it to different people, then you're running across
So
the
we'll
same
actually,
problems.
believe it or not, the product I don't want to say it is better. The Shebang 2.0 in terms of efficiencies, in terms of interface, is certainly better than our camp. But my own software I won't be using. I'll be using an Infusionsoft software because we built it out so massively, right? But anyways, yeah, but the tech was so important because the tech changes everything. It creates less overhead, and everyone uses it. We have all our training videos and everything that you need, and we made it efficient because the minute you sign on, whether it's Shebang or the Mitchell Group, all the content's done. All the text messaging's done, all the emails are done. Like, we don't want our agents to get involved with it. Like, we've already taken care of everything. There's no,
we know this gets a 37% response rate.
Right.
We've tested other messages that get less. We're sticking with this one.
even like in the transaction, like our transactional experience becomes critical too. So when someone goes into escrow, they get a text and an email, congratulations, right? 3 days prior to their inspection period, your inspection period is coming to an end, please contact your agent should you have any information, blah, blah, blah. After the inspection period's over, we foreshadow the remaining process. Then we survey, how are we doing? Then we introduce our concierge service where we'll transfer their bills, utilities. Some of our other partnerships like ADT offering, everybody gets a free Ring doorbell when they close with us, and then ADT will discount their services. Our moving partners, Muscular Moving Men, giving them discounts with their move. So we'll make these introductions as an added value play to what we do at the appropriate time.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to hit somebody like you go and ask them next thing you know, hey, I'm from insurance, hey, I'm the mover, hey, I'm the whatever. Like you have to be tactful with what you do.
I mean, one of the other items I wrote about is interesting because I have a question for you. Because I guess because of the amount of volume that he does, because we go with, Phil's gonna write a book one day. It's called PBTI, People Believe the Internet. But because of all of your, like, do you worry about reviews then? Like, do you still try and get that, or because you don't really have to be as concerned about that because of the amount of volume you do? Because there is a benefit. I mean, we have a benefit of walking in, being with the amount of deals that we do, then you're not as questioned as much, right?
I think there's pluses and minuses to the reviews, and that goes back to your point on the timing, because we hit them the day after we clear the inspection report, we send a survey. And why do we do it then? Because typically that's a good point of the process. We just agreed to all repairs, we're moving forward.
Right.
Like if I sent that and they're like going back and forth with the buyer and seller and it's not gonna work out, that's not the time they give you an answer, right? So we try to be tactful when we send out and the timing on that. To answer your question, I'll be honest, guys, we look at a lot of the stuff that you do, and we pale in comparison to the way that you guys are. When you go to Google, I mean, you guys have dominated search, and I'm envious of it, honestly, like I really am. And so the review.
Thank you.
We got one win. All right, good.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah, but you look at, we don't have relationships.
We have to fight for every conversion. Like, it's still, even though there's envy to us in that 17%, because we can't generate that because we're starting every relationship anew.
Totally.
Right? So we have to win them through videos, and we have to win them through delivering
reviews, sales, things like that.
We have to have reviews. Like we need more and more reviews because we're not coming in from a trusted partner.
Right.
And that's why I talked about this, is that we're still fighting uphill. Now, obviously, when you got 700, Zillow reviews, that helps a lot. But not necessarily against you. It helps against. It's why I have item number 3 is when I'm competing against an agent that's relying on a relationship, and I got 600-700 reviews, or more importantly, 500 in their zip code,
right,
and they have 1 or 2, they're in trouble. Where you may not be as in trouble because you came from their lender.
Well, that's the thing. When someone else, there's no better compliment than having somebody else give you that compliment, and so. And that just goes back to when when someone tees you up.
So the Quicken reviews matter to you more because that's where the Quicken advertising creates that first level of trust, and then they're able to transfer their trust to you.
Take Quicken or any other partner that we're getting.
Yes.
We're getting business from before we get to the consumer. Yeah. They've already talked about us.
Right.
Hey, we work with one of the #1 teams in the country. They're going to be reaching out. They know what they're doing. They're great. And the consumer, because everyone's so busy, they're just waiting on that call. So they're not shopping you. Like, if I go online, the first person I see is you guys. So you're gonna get the first call. The question is, the competition, where does that come into?
No, they're gonna lie to us, because that's what they do first. No, I'm not really looking, right? Like, you fill out 5 fucking forms over the last 3 days. You're not looking? I know everybody in your family, right? Like, and they're like, no, really, we're not looking, right?
This is just a public service announcement. Any foul language used on this podcast. Thank you. Continue listening.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm gonna start doing that.
Okay. All right. Well, we gotta touch other topics. So to me, it's funny because as we were talking to a lot of friends from California, they were talking about how the grind is back, and what we saw here locally, that their sales were off in January by 10% and 8% in February. I think March has come back a lot stronger, but it doesn't sound like you're not as affected by the grind.
But it's because of, listen, right now, suppression has worked to our benefit. Because
that's a big word.
But it's true. So let me tell you, it's very easy to figure out. It's logical. As the amount of transactions are slowing down right now, the partnerships that we have are looking at all the relationships, right? And they're saying, now, we gotta trim the bottom 20% because we need to put our clients in the trusted hands of people that can close them, right? So as they tighten up their network, we become the beneficiary of that because we're in the top 5% in every marketplace for all of our partnerships, based on talent, based on tech, based on whatever. So because they're tightening up, we actually are getting more leads in because they know that we can close them. So it helps us.
Yeah.
It helps us.
Well, I mean, this feeds the theory that I have of that teams are going to win out over individual agents because they want to send more leads to the better partners.
They have to, because now look, every partnership I have is tightening up their network. Every one of them, literally every one of them, the major ones, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing it because it's smart. They're saying, look, I have 1,000 leads here. Am I going to give it to everybody? What it also does too is it builds more loyalty within your network. And I say that because, I've talked, I've helped Open Door build their referral network. I've helped a lot of people build their referral network because I know how to do it. And it's very simple. You got to have loyalty within your network. How do you get loyalty within your network? How do you get it to where if I call
you serve donuts?
You could do that. Sometimes
I don't know.
Work.
Right.
By the way, I'm opening a donut shop. Did you guys see that? Did you see it?
I shouldn't be
I did not know.
I swear to God.
Okay.
What's the name of it?
I mean,
Buster George's
160 pounds soaking wet, and he's opening up a donut shop. More like I'm like the guy. You're not gonna eat there, but everybody else is gonna.
I'm so excited for it actually.
Is it going to be in your entry in the 101?
No.
Oh, dang
It's
it.
on 5th and Roosevelt downtown. I have a coffee business, and so Smooth Brew, we're opening up our new Smooth Brew down there. Next door, that we had open space, and I was in a magazine like a month ago on a plane, and I looked, and it's called the Dapper Donut. They franchise it, right? And I was like, you know what?
I want one of those.
I want a donut shop, and we also are going to do a general store. So it's going to be called Buster George's Donuts and General Store, and because we have our liquor license at the coffee shop, so we can sell beer, wine, and then we're going to have ice cream. We're going to have
How are we
donuts.
not doing the podcast from there?
It's not.
Okay, 2
We're going to
weeks.
open in 2 weeks.
We're going to Salesforce and the coffee shop
Yeah.
in 2 weeks.
So I
2
gotta
weeks.
tell
I feel
you,
like I'm in the money pit right now.
Hold on.
the name of
Anybody's
this,
Tom Hanks fan? No?
the name
Am I
of
the only one?
the store is so funny because my parents had a pug that passed away 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he was 15 years old. And his name
I'm
was
waiting for
Buster.
the funny part.
No, his name was Buster George. So the logo is Buster George's Donuts in General Store, but the logo is a pug just smashing a donut in his mouth.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I'm super excited about that. It's
Wow.
fun. Yeah.
Entrepreneur.
That's what I'm saying is that he accentuates the idea that I don't know that agents have got the clue yet that they're going to have to up their game because now you're dealing with entrepreneurs that are running their business and they're insatiable about dominating.
Oh yeah.
Do you not get the feeling from the guy, right?
I
Like
get
he's
the
going to run over everybody, right? But with class.
Well,
In a nice car.
if there's anyone in this country that I owe an apology to, it's you. Believe me. Like when we went, I kind of did some stuff I shouldn't have done a few months ago, and I was like, I was having a bad day, and I made a comment that I shouldn't have made, and I can say on this podcast,
You're a dick, Jason.
I do.
I didn't even remember. I got a short memory.
I know, but
I'm a salesman. Like I don't remember
There's
past
just-
6 weeks.
You gotta be like, listen. Also, friendships are important too in this business. So people talk well about somebody. And I always wanted to be the person that, with character, that ran their company with character, integrity, always did the right thing. Because we see it so many times, especially when agents are struggling. They have to win, but they win by trashing others, and that's not how you win. You don't
Right.
win that way.
Right.
You win by saying, you know what, they're great.
I'm just better. Yeah.
No. But if somebody came in and
No,
started
but you always
trashing,
present your best, is what I meant. I didn't,
yeah. So, but I tell you
You
this,
have to.
I don't know how. I really don't. I don't know how the average agent makes it. I can imagine how hard it was if you don't have relationships and
Because this hasn't totally wiped it out.
Yeah.
Because partnerships haven't wiped out relationships. And when you think about the average agent, we talk a lot about this. Who's really in trouble right now? Because in our perspective, when we first started looking at it, we're like, man, the part-timers are going to get run out of this business, and the full-timers are going to be left. And then, you had a few more weeks of sleep, and then you came...
Yeah,
and
no, and I realized that
7 a.m.,
actually,
and he calls
the
me, he's like,
part-timers are
it's the other way around.
Right. the other way around. But what it is that the part-time agents, because they have a secondary source of income, will be able to survive. Because their spouse or their roommate or their partner or whatever sexual preference it is, has income. So they can only do one deal every 3 years and still make it. So therefore they can keep that license. But if you're making $70,000 or $80,000 or $90,000 a year as the breadwinner, and you lose 25% of your sales because of these items, you now need to go get a job.
That's what I'm saying. It's very true. And I don't know, I mean, even take open houses. I used to do open houses all the time. That's how I built my book of business, right? Without partnerships. And it's crazy now because I see my agents doing open houses. People will pull up, then they'll be in front of an open house. Where before they had to walk in to check out the house, they'll pull it up on the internet and be like, nope, not for us, and they'll just move on.
Yes.
Like, it's so hard.
Well, the skill of learning, I mean,
we're still open house believers.
No, I am too.
Oh, right, but
why
but
not
this,
be?
no,
It's
but
free.
okay,
Like,
but
do
the
that,
difference in our open houses where we're going is be the listing agent, because then the buyer comes directly to the listing agent now,
And-
because they don't need an agent, so therefore you win by more listings. Listings beget listings then, because you market your listing, the buyer comes in, because they don't want to talk to anybody except for the listing agent is what we started to see more and more and more as they target because we do a lot of, we're a good partner with Zillow, we love Zillow, we do a lot of business with them, but a lot of those leads are people wanting to just call us because we're the listing agent, and it's putting a lot of pressure on that relationship, because now their buyer's in my house and then they call back for a second time for a second look, and then they're like, do you know a lender? And then they're like, oh, I want to use my friend, and I'm like, the deal's over, right? What am I supposed to do?
Right. No, but even take that aside, people will call and they'll only want to talk to the listing agent because they feel as though they can get some type of credit if you're representing them as well. Like, the consumer's wisened up in that process as well, and understand now.
Absolutely.
People are more aware that, oh, that's just money in my pocket. If I use a listing agent, I can probably put more money in my pocket because now they don't have to pay a buyer broker. I can do this on my own. Now, there's some technical difficulties with that, with dual agency, I think, personally, but at the same time, it is what it is right now.
I mean, but as a team, you can be the listing agent, and then the other agent
100%.
can represent the person,
100%.
right? Like, so teams can mute that, I believe. So, and still offer, everybody can still have representation, because I believe that everybody should have representation, but you still ultimately represent the seller. I represent the seller, even though I might not, because I'll not have met that buyer.
Yeah, but going back to your average agent, I mean, I don't know how you survive. Like, I literally sit back and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Well, this is where we have our commercial come in, because we're going to offer training from Agent Truth. No, honestly, because they're going to have to up their game. They're going to need more training.
I'm gonna make an attempt at our first commercial.
Okay.
Right here. This episode is brought to you by Agent Truth. It is a real estate agent coaching business. If you're looking on how to survive as a part-time agent or a full-time agent, how to increase your business, go to agenttruth.com. Again, that's agenttruth.com.
But it's training, not coaching. Well,
Didn't I say training? I think I said
it's too
training.
regurgitated. I mean, I'm listening to podcast after podcast of people talking about the same. I mean, like, when is anyone going to come out with something that's innovative?
I just tune that shit out. Like, I'm just so sick and tired of everybody being a coach and I'm not. This isn't me hating. This is me being honest with the fact that, like, dude, seriously, like, stop your bullshit. I mean, honest, enough is enough. Everyone's a coach now. Just, be a lion in a pack of sheep. It's like, dude, are you serious? Like,
Well, here's what we learned: we learned that coaching in the industry is just defined as this. Did you make your calls? Did you set your appointments right? Like, that's what they call coaching. And to me, it's the industry's going to need more than just how many doors did you knock on, right? Like, you're actually going to have to improve what I was talking to pregame about, not just the experience, but making the ball player better, right? Like, making the agent's going to have to get better at their job. Like, we're seeing everything move to off market.
well, I mean, listen, I dare somebody, like, what is working hard to you, and then what is working hard to me, and maybe that's where the coaching comes into play, so you can actually see, like, oh, that's That's real work, right? Like 7 days, relentless. Now granted, not everybody has dreams and visions of doing what necessarily we want to do, but at the same time, you still got to work hard. You got to work harder now because it's harder to get to the consumer. But what is effort? How do you define effort? Like showing up to the office at 9:30 and leaving at 3:30, that's a 6-hour workday. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but Jason, we're in that business where part-timers are still for real.
Not even part-timers, full-timers.
Full-timers are still, some of them are 30 hours, 35 hours a week, and they're able
full-time.
That's full.
That's what his argument is.
No, but that's not full. Like I know, you're right.
And like
You're right. Full-time is
we
like
meet with them, we talk with them, and they're able to make a decent living. Like that's
It's
one
like
of
they
this
sit there-
business though is still a little bit of an attraction for the entrepreneurs in this world that want to get into something that they can build on their own
Right.
and call it
I want to
their
be
own.
able.
They
I
gotta
want to
be
be able
able
to
to do the
sleep
work.
in, right?
But
Get
they
off
want to be
work
able.
early.
They gotta
They gotta
be able to do the work. Because
Yes.
here's the thing, they'll sit there paralyzed. Like I know what I need to do, but if they don't know how to do it, they don't ask how to do it. But a lot of this stuff, like I was telling Ken, who runs our operations, you know, it was funny because we were doing something. And I'm like, I don't remember how to do that. And he's like, he's sorry, and he's like, you don't. And I go, and they were like making fun of me because it was something like minute, but they do it every day. I just haven't gotten involved with it in years.
Right.
And I turned back
It's
and I go,
always good to
I go-
make fun
I go,
of the boss.
Yeah, and I turned back and I go, don't forget, I built this company. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
What word did you really use?
yeah, you know, like, no,
So
but-
was it the input sheet?
right. I don't even know what that is. Right? But the point is this: is that even to this day, like
It was DocuSign.
yeah, it was DocuSign. Like, I don't know what. So, but the point is that what I'm doing has evolved to something different, but I'm still
Yes.
working as hard, if not harder, now because now
No, you
you're-
chase bigger deals.
Yeah, so
It's
but they
not
find
about the
themselves
one-on-one
paralyzed,
houses.
sitting there like, oh, well, I don't know what to do. Well, figure it out. That was my
Yeah.
point. Like, I had to figure it out.
Right.
It was just me.
Yeah, they
So
want more
figure it
training
out.
than that, though. It's tough.
But then it's like, how hard are you really willing to work? Like, are you willing to work an 11-hour Saturday?
Right.
Are you willing to work an 11-hour, 12-hour Sunday?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, but I worked on Sunday. Listen, a 9 to 1 open house isn't a full day. It's not. That's not work. And you know what? For people that actually have a job that kind of sucks to go to, like, you know, the guy, my next door neighbor's redoing his roof. Those dudes are there at 5:30 in the morning and they're working till like 8 at night.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see them saying, oh, I'll be there from like 11 to 2 today. They wouldn't have a roofing business, you know what I'm saying? But like in real estate, it's acceptable that I have a couple meetings today, and then I'm gonna go get some paperwork done, and I'm gonna work on a few things. Well, what is work on a few things? Like, I always say people like, I'm working on that right now. Well, what does that mean? What are you working on? How are you working on it?
It's a mental exercise that I do with myself.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, working on
I'll
what?
be done in a minute.
Working on what, man? Like, it's just, but there's so many things you can do in this business to make money. Whether it be, again, going back to building relationships with agents to send referrals in different parts of the country. Like, there's just so many different ways to create revenue
Yes.
in this if you're smart and you're willing to do the work. The problem is that some people aren't smart, but they're willing to do the work. Others aren't willing to do the work, but they're super smart. To find those people that have both work ethic, drive, and are smart, like that's a rare commodity, right?
So it's odd that I have two number ones in the room? Is that what you're saying? Like this is a rare commodity
I would
that's
say
that's
so.
in the room right now, right? Because I mean, I think that to give you guys both credit, you're obviously at the top of the game, right? And so you gotta have hustle. I know that you both have hustle, and you gotta be smart, which I know you both are. But if you're talking to agents that are chasing you right now, right? Because that's a lot of, if you're number one, then that means everybody else in our marketplace is chasing you, right? What advice do we give them? So as we're working on the podcast, as we're trying to help them put the consumer first, how is it?
Listen.
Because sometimes it's easier to chase somebody
Yeah.
than it is to lead the pack.
Well, it always is. It always is. But here's the deal. Like, in 2012, I wasn't sitting there saying, I'm chasing Walt Danley. I had to stay in my own lane. I wasn't saying like, hey, I did. No, I'm saying like, I would say at some point I want to pass Jaffe or Walt or whoever it was at the time, right? Like who I was saying they're number one.
Yeah.
My dream.
And it can be done. There's the 4-minute mile.
I can't, listen, my point is this. I wanted to surpass them, but I knew it wasn't going to happen in 2013 when I'm here at 2012.
Right.
I had to be smart about where I'm at with my business and be strategic about the growth and be smart about it. And at some point, hopefully, I've grown the right way to where I can hopefully surpass them. But it's not gonna happen next year. And the problem with people is this. Everybody wants instant gratification. Everybody thinks it's so easy to make in this business. They don't wanna build a business. They're transactional based. They care about that one transaction, and that's not how you grow. You grow by building something. You grow by building your brand, your value proposition, everything. And if you're not willing to put in, you said it, I've been in this business 16 years. So for somebody that's 2-3 years in the business, don't compare you to me. That's not fair. Aspire to pass me, right? Like, hey, at one day I'm gonna do 300 million, actually I'm gonna do a $500 million. I'm gonna do 700, great. But you have to have the fortitude to want to build that, and also the drive to say, and the intelligence to sit back and say, but it's not going to happen in 2020. In 2022, 23, I want to hit 300. If you're doing 20 million this year, you're not going to do 100 million next year. You're not, right? It's just not going to happen.
No, you're right. You're saying everything that I believe. I mean, actually, I was listening to Gary Vee say the same message over and over again this morning is that it's a long game, it's not a short game. And unfortunately, it's a lot of work to get there.
Totally.
Right? And that it is, I unfortunately was like, okay, I remember the number for Walt Disney was 178 million, but I was, to your point, I was like, okay, so then I need to do 300 million. Right, like my path was, okay, not worried about him, just like what was my path to 300 million, and I mean it was the web, but it, we only did 223 last year, so we're almost
It's a hell of a year.
Yeah, it was a good year, but
my point is, you have to be, Lisa Roberts, an agent in town, she's a great agent, and I'm very close with her, and she's very young, and she crushes it, and I talk with her a lot about, be smart about growth, but also like, you're not going to get there tomorrow. Just continue to do, because the path that you're on is explosive.
it's a good one.
Yeah, and it takes a killer like that now she'll do 50, 60 million this year. 2 years ago she was doing 15, 20. Like, it takes time. And then once you build that and you have the brand, now you can bring on people to help you and support and do the little things. Have buyer's agents. Have somebody that can help you, like, if you're doing 20 million, 30 million and you're hanging your own lock boxes, like, that's just stupid, right? Like, shame on you. Invest in people.
Well,
to
I
help
find
you
that
build.
it's the hardest thing for agents, though, that want to grow, is that they still want to do everything, right? Like, they still, like, they can't, I mean, to me, I used a rule that was, I just was trying to find someone that could do it 80% as good as I could doing it, meaning that I think you just have to have that mentality, because sometimes you find people that do it, like, Phil's done it better, Mauricio's done it better, Shanley's done each of their jobs, they've done better than I could, but you have to be able to accept that at the beginning, they're only going to be able to do 70 or 80% of what you did, but eventually they'll surpass you. But I mean, that is a real struggle of letting
first
go.
of all, people
right?
are control freaks, number one.
That's what I'm trying
and
to
you know
say.
what? That's
Who? Anybody has seen one of them?
and that's fine. But here's the deal: my buyer's agents, they're much better than me.
Right.
They do it 6, 7 times a month, constantly, over and over and over again. They've mastered it at this point, right? My agents that have been with me for a while. But you know what? My epiphany was this. I started to get some high quality leads in. I hired one buyer's agent who's still with me. She's my #1 agent. Her name's Claire. And Claire did 26 million last year, something like that. She did 98 deals, and she's just a monster. She's a machine. And so all of a sudden I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. I have a $250,000 deal in Buckeye. Do I want to go to Buckeye? No, I don't want to go to Buckeye. But Claire will go. Claire wants to build her book of business. And then I was like, I got more leads in. I'm like, now I need another Claire. They'll go out and do it. They'll go out and hustle. They'll go out and grind and make it happen. And then all of a sudden, now they're servicing the client better because, why is it fair that if I don't want to do this, why is it fair that I'm representing that client? That's not fair.
Okay, so then we gotta ask one more thing, only because I heard this morning that the two hardest things for elite teams, so you're an elite team, is recruitment and retention. So how do you find the next Claire?
Well, we don't recruit in Phoenix, and we're recruiting in other strategic marketplaces. We recruit when I know I have enough deal flow to add an agent. We don't lead by agent count. And I think it's a massive, now listen, that's not fair because there's different business models that teams run, okay? If you're doing training and coaching and all the other stuff, that's a great value play. If you think that you're gonna join my team, you're gonna get great training, you're gonna see me once a month like helping you, and we have great people to help you understand our tech and become a better salesperson. But we're not sitting there having, daily training sessions and stuff like that. Like, that's not what we do, right? But there's teams that do that, and if that's a value prop, great. But at some point, if you're not providing leads, they're going to leave you because their main goal is to build your book of business, right? And so for us, I know in Phoenix, for example, I'm about where I can capacity-wise until I add some more partnerships. And when I do that, then I'll add a couple more agents. So, and that's why our attrition is so low. Because once you're in our team, like I said, our arbitrage is 3.5 to 1. That's huge, you know? So once you're in and you get the systems and you get the how we operate.
Meaning for every 3 deals that they close from you, they have one of their own.
Yeah, it's 3.5. So we close 3.5 team gen deals compared to everyone's self-gen deal. That's our team average. You can't leave that because that's 40 deals a year. And even if it was 25, 30 deals a year that we add to your book of business, right? A, that's about 80 to 100 grand. But B, the next year, if you do the same number, now you have 60 people that you get self-generated business from because we led it to. But that's where that longevity thing that I talk about in this business plays out. It takes time to build your business. So you gotta be willing to put in the time. It doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of agents aren't. And I also say this, your first 1-2 years in the business, it's supposed to be hard. Like, it's not supposed to be easy. Like, you're supposed to wake up and be like, shit, I have to go get a deal.
Yeah.
I have to eat. That makes you fight. My internship at Pulte Homes in 2002, I made $8 an hour. I was picking up cigarette butts and I was driving an hour and 20 minutes from South Detroit to North Rochester. Like, I made zero money. But you know what? I had a goal. I wanted to get hired so I could make money. And then I was training for a year, almost a full year in training, making $15 an hour. So I put in 16 months of bullshit work. I was learning, right? But like hard work,
Yeah, you
no
mean
money.
non-deal flow.
Right.
You're
Not to mention 4 years of undergrad, getting a master. Like, you know, you put in your time, right? Like, you put in the grind so you can reap the benefits down the road. But even with Pulte, it wasn't like, hey, you work at Pulte, go make 600 grand. You know, like, no. You have a lot of stuff you have to learn.
Sure.
And so that grind work is what people are afraid of. But if you're sitting there and you're going to enter real estate, number one, you need to have some savings, or you need to have something that's there. We know how that roller coaster goes, but where it works out is in year 2 and year 3, all of a sudden you have 20, 30 close clients, and you're constantly staying in front of them to give them a referral. Then you're meeting with people. Now you build a name, then you build a reputation, then you can maybe add a buyer's agent. Like, this does not
Deals
happen
start
overnight.
to pop, right?
Yes.
That's it. Like, you don't even know sometimes a deal comes across the plate that you didn't expect in your projections, and now you're like, I get it.
Yes.
Right? It starts to build upon itself. I mean, the compound effect is one of the books that Darren Hardy wrote. I don't know if are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it.
The concept is there, where, I mean, the real estate business to me is a big version of the compound effect, where as long as you stay in front of the people, right? I joke about it because it's kind of true, is our best listing strategy is to sell a buyer a house and then never let them forget about us.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
No, but
build
because that's essentially what you're building for all your agents is they're representing the buyer. Now they have a client as long as they take care of that client forever.
In a house that they're willing to sell, that they would like to have a listing in an area that they would like to have a listing in.
Yep.
Right? I mean,
Yep.
that's...
And then if you take care of them post-close, you're constantly staying in front of them and touch points, tactile touch points, stuff like that. We do that for our agents.
like brownie recipes, sports schedules.
We used to do like this. I
You
had
gave
this
them like car magnets that said, I love Jason Mitchell.
face on it.
Yeah, with contests.
Yeah.
Win dinner with you? Is
We
that...
used to- You're a client of mine, but you gotta win it. There's a raffle at dinner with me. The lucky client. I used to do the dumbest newsletter, like, and
Yes.
I would put like home recipes on there.
Yes.
And someone would be like, no, but people like that. And you know what it comes down to? Honestly, a lot of the stuff, it's not a matter of what you do, it's just the fact that you do it.
Yes.
You're just there.
Also, I'm a firm believer that people love to watch the rise. And so if you have communications with these 100 people in your system from 2003,
Absolutely.
and they see what it looked like then and they see what it looks like now, and they appreciate the difference, it's more believable.
Well,
They
you know
saw
what?
you grow.
People love bragging about you. Like, that was the one thing, as I was coming up, you know, and as I made my way to doing, you know, like personally over 100 million in volume the past 4 years, and our team now where we're at, all of a sudden now people want to be around you. It's like they want to say, oh, that's my agent, or that's my buddy, or that's my thing, right? Like, you become like...
Or that's my podcast guest.
That's my buddy. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying though? Like it's if you become cool, right?
Yeah.
You become
Yeah.
cool because you're successful.
Right.
Wow.
And that's a great feeling. Like, and people tell me all the time, like, oh my God, you're so successful, this and that. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm so unfocused about saying I'm successful. I'm focused, like, I have a goal of where I want to be.
Okay, hold on.
Our
Because we can't take too much of his time, right? We gotta let the guy go.
Oh,
So,
I'm sorry.
How are we doing? In conclusion,
Okay.
we wanna find out what is your vision.
While you think about what you want to say, I can't help but wonder if you are going to be like the cool, successful kid in the donut world here soon.
I hope
can't,
so.
I can't help but
Listen,
think that.
I'm
Right?
going to send you guys our first dozen donuts.
Oh, deal.
Buster George's Donuts.
Nice.
All right.
And obviously you'll be invited to come down when we do. That's just fun for, like, I love.
How's that not fun for everybody?
Yeah.
You said donuts. Named after a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, named after a dog. Like, it's just cool.
Yes.
So, but listen.
But yeah, the vision of it, right?
Look, I'm going to open up marketplaces across the country and have our trusted partners trust us to close those deals at a higher ratio than anybody else, while providing our agents great system, brand, and technology in order to close more business than they ever thought possible.
While taking the My Home Group brand with you.
Well, we do it together,
Of course.
but yes, my home group, when I launch, we open MHG and we open JMG. Typically, JMG leads the charge because I can instantly get business in the door because our trusted partners.
JMG leads to what?
We lead the
Leads
charge.
the charge.
And
Got
it's
it, got it.
because I can open up the doors quickly and get deal flow in quickly
Yep.
from our trusted partners.
Sure.
As long as, what keeps me up at night is, am I doing something wrong? Like, am I doing something to where I'm jeopardizing anything? And the answer is, right now, everything's good. So I just have to keep improving so our partners can keep trusting us. But we're gonna take the same model, like right now, we're gonna open Salt Lake next month and Dallas next month. Then I'm gonna go into Charlotte. And I'm gonna have 20 marketplaces plus across the country with maybe 8 to 10 agents. And we're just gonna become an assembly line of deals in all these different marketplaces and be smart about our talent. Because you know, I can hire talent, when I keep it tight, I can hire talent because they're gonna get
Right.
so many high quality leads. If I expand it, I gotta be cognizant of the fact that, hey, look, I may lose some people. So I'm trying to do it strategically and where my partners say, hey, if you go here, we got some good deal flow, go get it. So my goal is this, it's very simple. By 2021, I wanna do $1 billion. We'll do over 500 million this year, but I wanna hit $1 billion in 2 years, that's my goal. And as long as again, I can continue to create more relationships.
You're after Ben.
Who's that?
Ben Cavaniero, he's the #1 agent in the country. He's the first guy to do $1 billion. Although his
Ben
model,
Ben what?
no, Cavaniero,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But he does it through, from what I understand, is that he refers a deal to a builder and then they close it. You're actually doing the deals. His numbers to me. I don't know that they're.
I don't know.
His referrals are not. I don't count referrals.
I think you're just
doing
like I think you're just after Jason, right? You're after to figure out what's in your mind.
He's after $1 billion.
$1 billion, right?
Yeah, and that's
Jason
not like
himself.
saying I want to hit $1 billion. It's one of those things where I don't know. Look, I don't know where it goes. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I know the model works,
Right.
and I know I can scale it, and I know from a
We
perspective.
should work for him. I'll take Utah.
I like skiing.
Okay, I could do Dallas, right? I like that.
Dallas is a good
Right?
market.
Oh yeah, I think I could kick some tail because there's a lot of room in Dallas.
Well, here's the
right?
thing,
Like, I mean,
once
that's a
you-
big city. Yeah.
But here's the thing, it's more about state. So right now, you know, we started in Miami, but now we're opening Tampa next week, and then we have Orlando 2 weeks after. Once you get into the state, once you get the entities and everything set up, now
Because you have the
easier to go to
licensing and that
the
kind of
that's the
stuff.
hard
right?
part, is like getting
Yeah.
all that shit set up and then whatever. But once you get good leadership in place, and you have states like Texas, so once we get established in Dallas, obviously we're going to open Houston,
we'll
we're
have
going to San Antonio.
Maybe we'll have an MLS partner on our hands for the because I'm coming out with we've come out with a agent certainty score where we give the agent, because I think that to try and differentiate the difference between, because the National Association of Realtors has not really provided a differentiation between, you know, an agent that's done one deal and you or me, right? Like
Stratification,
stratification,
right?
What's
Is that? I think that's the word that I heard this week that I loved, because there's no stratification for realtors. Everybody's a realtor. And what we're trying to do with the agent certainty score is to put a level of how much of which agents are the ones that are believable.
Yeah, that would be great.
And which ones aren't.
Yeah, because
Or
MLS
less
doesn't do
than.
that.
No.
But they do it on purpose because they don't want to cannibalize.
Right, so we're not the MLS.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, yeah. We do love the MLS, and we love our partner over here. Matt's a great guy, but the reality is that it's gonna threaten the realtor.
Yes.
is because the value of the realtor is going lower and lower because they're trying to make it equal for everybody. But now that's why the consumer doesn't trust us, is because they're like, oh, you're all the same.
Yeah.
But
So
I didn't have a chance to articulate myself, and you're just casting me off as the same as the lady you talked to down the street. I don't think that's fair.
I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
As a thank you for coming on our show, we're going to provide you with your free agent certainty score by going to agenttruth.com. Is that where it is?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll
Sweet.
send you yours. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Because it's still a work in progress, and it's fun to get people's reaction to it, just as we're looking at
Yeah, I'd love to see
different
it.
data points that we can see that helps us, I don't know, differentiate you from...
Well, you get an MLS score, you get a consumer marketing score, you get an experience score. Like, so we have 5 different categories of store, meaning like when you list a house, what is your original list price to sales price ratio?
Got it.
Right, like just stuff
That's
like
cool.
that. Like, well, to me, it's one of the things that I struggle with traditional agents is I've been in the business 25 years, and they look and they've done 27 deals.
Right.
And I'm like, when you tell someone you've been in the business 25 years, I think that they're expecting a level of certainty from you. But if you only do 1 deal a year, it's a different experience.
No, I
right?
love the idea. I love the
it's
concept of it for
yeah.
sure. No doubt. So awesome.
Well, thank you so much.
Jason Mitchell,
Yeah,
spending
wow.
an hour with us. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
man. Absolutely.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you
Good
for
stuff.
coming in.
You're
awesome.
Thank you for listening. Now more than ever, it is important to put the consumer first. Check us out on all major streaming platforms like SoundCloud, iTunes, Player FM, Google Play, and Stitcher. Information about one-on-one coaching or solution events, text 480-530-7972.